أهلا بك لورينزو وشكرا على انضمامك لنا. هل ستستوجب أزمة الطاقة الحالية زيادة في استثمارات المنبع في النفط والغاز خلال السنوات القليلة المقبلة؟ وما هو نطاق الاستثمار المتوقع مقارنة بالسنوات الأخيرة؟
Great to be with you again. And as you know, the question is often asked, how much more investment will take place in the upstream? I think if you look backwards, and these are official numbers, there used to be around $800 billion spent a year on really the upstream and looking at the opportunity of finding more resources. Over the last few years, that's dropped by 50%, and there's approximately 400 million that's been spent. So there's been a dramatic decrease, and in fact, as we look forward, we need to see returns to the prior investment levels. We know that the world is short of energy, and to be able to meet the energy demand, we need to increase supply of all types of fuel sources. So we see the next couple of years as being a good investment cycle within the upstream, and in particular here in the Middle East, we see growing activity and increased investments by many of the national oil companies.
ولكن لورينزو، ما هو نوع المشاريع التي ستجذب تلك الاستثمارات المتوقعة التي تحدثت عنها؟ هل ستبقى الاستثمارات تفضل المشاريع ذات الدورة الاستثمارية قصيرة الأجل كما شهدنا في السنوات الأخيرة، أم أن هذا قابل للتغيير في رأيك؟
I think it's going to depend with the type of companies and also their exposure and how they view risk. It's clear that you need both. And as you look at the short term, you've got opportunities for brownfield expansions. You've got opportunities with unconventionals. At the same time, it's not that the demand for hydrocarbons is going away. And oil and gas is going to be necessary, and in particular gas, as a transition and destination fuel in the future. So we see, again, different investment profiles by different companies. Some focus more on the short term, but also those focused on the long term. And it's clear that within the Middle East, here you have the lowest cost barrel. And also you've got a carbon light from a barrel perspective. So we're seeing longer term investments being planned in UAE, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and in much of the Middle East. If there's going to be a barrel produced, it's most likely going to be here, so the investments are more longer term.
لنتحدث الآن عن نظرتك لأداء أسواق النفط خلال العام المقبل تحديداً، خاصة في ضوء المخاوف المتزايدة من الركود الاقتصادي العالمي وأثره على الطلب على النفط.
It's very interesting as you look at next year, and there's no doubt that the discussion around recession has increased in the last few months, and as you look at interest rates that have been increasing. And we do anticipate that there will be some slowdown in the industrial activity. I think when you look at the energy segment, we'll continue to see actually a demand for energy and continue to require investment. So as we look at it, we continue to see the energy sector be actually positive as we go into the next few years. And that's simply because of the cycle that we're coming from of underinvestment. And the demand for energy is not going away. And we think it's important that this sector continues to invest and we continue to prepare for it. As you look at North America, again, with prices staying as they are, you would expect, again, continued increase in production. Not as much as you've seen in the prior year because it is more transactional in nature, and they've grown at a faster rate in the last year. But internationally, again, we see good double-digit growth, in particular around UAE, as well as in the Middle East, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as well as Latin America. So international markets really outpacing some of the US markets over the course of 23 and 24.
ننتقل إلى موضوع آخر لورينزو، حيث يبدو أن الطلب المتسارع على الغاز المسال هذا العام لم يترجم بعد إلى زيادة في حجم وعدد القرارات الاستثمارية النهائية في مشاريع الغاز المسال، على الأقل بحسب ما كان مأمولا من البعض وخاصة في الولايات المتحدة. ما رأيك مما يحدث في هذا المجال؟
So we've always been one to say that by 2030 we're going to need 800 million tons of LNG actually installed. And we think we're on pace for that. In fact, as we look at the next 2 years, we think there'll be up to 150 million tons FID'd. And this year you have seen FIDs take place, and you've also seen 20-year long-term contracts being signed. So we remain optimistic that those FIDs will come. One thing is clear, is that LNG is a viable fuel source for the future. And as you look at natural gas, we think it's not just a transition, but destination fuel. So LNG is actually a very interesting area for us. We participate extensively, and we view it as a good multi-year cycle. And even after the 150 MTPA of FIDs in the next 2 years, we see also in 24 and 25 other expansions that are being planned.
تم مؤخرا إعادة هيكلة شركة بيكر هيوز وتقسيمها حول نشاطين رئيسيين. حدثنا أكثر عن هذه الخطة الاستراتيجية لورينزو وآثارها على أعمالكم.
So we did announce a reprofiling of the company and a restructuring, a transformation of Baker Hughes into 2 segments, oilfield services and equipment, and also industrial and energy technology. We view it as being very much answering the request also from customers with regards to focus, being agile, being able to speed our execution to market. And now we have 2 real strong segments that enable really the exploration, the production that's needed for today, as well as then the investment in technology and also the future LNG cycle that's required for tomorrow. And we've got those 2 areas of the company that have multiple years of good growth ahead of them.